Once Human is getting its biggest update yet. We're going to go over all the details there with that, including the new features, what we're going to be seeing in the store, and the new events. Additionally, we'll go over some nerfs, buffs, and changes there with this update. We got a ton to talk about. What's up, world? It's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Okay, so jumping into this one, it is a major patch 1.1 update. Now there is actually an opening statement with this one, but it's just disclosing some things around the maintenance. Now if you haven't seen in chat, they are doing some maintenance or letting you know that there is maintenance tonight. Now they do note this as August 15th, but this is UTC 4 AM. But for most NA regions aside from EST, this will actually be on August 14th. So this will be at 9 PM PST August 14th, again depending on when you're watching this video, 11 PM CST, or 12 AM EST August 15th, and that is for Eastern Time. Since this update is fairly large and we're going to go over all of it, it's expected to last around 5 hours, so please plan your time accordingly, although they do have this one at a fairly reasonable time. It is fairly late, although MMO hours and MMO players typically do go late into the night, but this is decent overall, especially with it coming up around 5 AM EST if all goes to plan. Although with these larger updates, sometimes the maintenance windows do run a little bit longer, so do be prepared for that just in case. They went on here to say they've been listening to all the feedback and addressing all the concerns, suggestions from the community as well for all of this stuff. They go on here, the maintenance will include the following content. Buckle up, we got a lot to go through. So the first one here, you've probably seen it before, but they have a brand new animal ranching feature where you can capture and raise animals like deer, wolves, sheep, and more in the open world, and raise them in your own territory. And they even said here additional animals will be added in future updates. With that, they have animal housing and care. Each animal has unique habits and requiring specialized housing and specific food. There's also some taming benefits. Animals can provide resources such as skins, meats. Aggressive animals can also defend your territory against invasions. And there's also going to be a breeding update with the animals that will be introduced in September that will allow you to obtain rare and unique critters. They do have some imagery here to showcase off what this could kind of look like if you wanted to kind of gate these animals in your community or in your housing territory area. Super cool there. Again, this was super unexpected for a lot of people. Next up here, they've revamped the entire fishing system. So now there's going to be a new mini game. The fishing system has been entirely revamped there, which focuses on the battle between your stamina and the fish's energy with tension displayed on screen. They don't exactly show this one, so we're not sure how it's going to work just yet. They're also going to use fish as bait. You can now have small fish can be used as bait to catch larger and more ferocious fish. So kind of a nice mechanic there to get larger fish instead of just hoping for one. They've also optimized the fishing. They reduced waiting times and added new rare fish types such as northern pike, sunfish, and koi fish. And this is a big one that we talked about with last update. They enhanced the fish tanks, which can now hold multiple fish with a capacity of up to 8 fish depending on their size. Next up here, the new wilderness game modes. Sproutlet Conquest will be available on specific days. This mode will involve collecting Sproutletite in PvP teams. We talked about that rare ore in our last one, which then can be exchanged for Sproutlets. Again, it seems like this item was kind of accidentally leaked or put into the game right now, but it was ended up being tied to this Sproutlet Conquest. They also have Ancient One's Trial. This is a challenging trial located in the highest mountain in Chalk Peak, and this will offer some significant rewards for those who succeed. This one looks absolutely insane. I can't wait to try this one out, as it looks like we're going to be riding that whale that you see up in the sky. Everyone's been wondering what that one does or what it kind of has significance for. It looks like once you get to the highest peak, that trial will await you. You can board the Ancient One and face a trial there. They don't note here what rewards there will be, but I'm sure they'll be pretty nice. Next up, we have mod conversions. This can be unlocked at level 40. You can then transform 6 legendary mods into a new legendary mod with chosen attributes and possible suffix. So you won't be able to pick the bottom 3 traits there, but you will be able to pick a legendary mod and what the top attribute does contain. That is awesome there. Super glad to hear about this and being able to exchange those. So if you do have legendary mods right now, do not dismantle them or whatever you're doing. Hang on to those as much as you can. They want to here to say that mods used in the conversion can pass on their suffixes and attributes to the new mod. Obviously just a chance there, so you might want to use mods with the attributes that you like and the suffixes that you like. The massive one here, everyone's been asking for this, controller support. So we are getting this with the mid-August update. Controller compatibility now supports Xbox, PlayStation, Switch Pro controllers with various control schemes for all of those, including default, left-handed shooter and action. That's super awesome to hear. 3 different controller types. Super glad to hear that they have the Switch Pro also included. There's going to be ongoing optimizations there. Certain features like camera mode and weapon stickers are not yet fully compatible with the controllers, but those will be added eventually. And additional features include support for controller vibrations, French and German keyboard layouts, as well as improved display logic for settings. There's a long section here with another article that I might go over later, but they added or are going to add cross-character sharing for paid content. To summarize that up, we've gone over it 100 times now, but you will be able to share your paid cosmetics across multiple characters now under the same account, although they will have to be under the same region. This one is an insane one. I'm actually surprised this is even a thing. They're doing special invitation codes. This is where you can now invite your friends to a full server using a special code. This will be limited slots available, so they might have to turn this off eventually, but this is absolutely awesome now. Everybody's been complaining about not being able to get their friends on the same servers, but now you'll be able to provide them with a special code to get on that server. I'm super happy to hear about this, as this has been one of the biggest complaints, and you can definitely tell that they've worked hard on this, or at least getting this one to fruition. Awesome to see they're listening to player feedback, so really happy about this one. Now, I went over seasonal and the scenario stuff happening in my last video. I have a much better deep dive over on that stuff, so if you want to check it out, I'll link to it down below. However, essentially, we have some new stuff planned for September and October. Players can, of course, sign up for different scenarios at the end of each season. And actually, surprisingly, a lot of your progress will be carried over. There's only a few exceptions there. One thing to note here is that there's going to be new higher difficulty scenarios, which will offer exclusive blueprints and tougher challenges. Jumping over, we do have some new shop arrivals. There's going to be cosmetics and loot crates. There's new fashion sets, hairstyles, makeups, and vehicle cosmetics that will be available, as well as Lightforge loot crates offering exclusive items and no duplicates. They also showed off this one here, the Teddy Warrior fashion, which is epic quality, and Teddy Partner discount theme pack will be available after the update. And they showcase this one off here, the Pyro Glide cosmetic, which is going to be considered legendary quality, and the Psychedelic Skull fashion set. Seems like it go hand in hand there, kind of a Ghost Rider-esque theme, as well as the Primordial Flame Weapon cosmetic. That's all going to be available on August 16th, and you can also open Lightforge loot crates for a chance to get these limited edition collectibles. Jumping over, we have a brand new set of events. So first up here is the Wilderness Express. This is going to be the racing event, so race through the wilderness to earn rewards. That's starting on August 15th. You'll be able to claim some Starcrom as well as a limited edition Fulfilled Wish vest cosmetic. Next up here, we have another event, Secure on Site. This one will start on August 22nd, where you have to defeat enemies to collect specimen cards and fill out field guide for rewards. They also mentioned here that the event screen will have more detailed rules on that. Jumping over, we have a ton of changes here, a ton of fixes. I'm going to try to summarize those as best as possible. I'll jump through these kind of quickly, otherwise I'll be here all night talking about these. So first up, we have the Prime War section. They reduced the cooldown timer to 5 minutes. Gatling cannons and turrets are now classified as special buildings, and they are no longer counted toward the construction limit for those defensive structures. They added time limits for demolishing buildings. Materials are now returned after the time limit. They implemented a protection mechanism to prevent building demolition once the boss phase continues or begins. And they also added an on-screen durability display for Starlight facilities. Next up here, we have Territory Purification. They reduced the Deviant HP and damage in base defense modes. That should be a little bit easier now. They also updated the Territory Purification tutorial. Players must reach level 15 before attempting the task. So you won't be able to do that right off the bat now. You'll have to actually reach level 15 before you can attempt it. They have a few other adjustments here where they extended the duration of high-level cargo conquest missions. And the Chaotic Cortexes now drop as a model rather than Stardust Flower when a meta is defeated. So specifically the PvP servers, if someone does have a Chaotic Cortex and you down them, they will actually drop a model of it rather than that Stardust Flower. Jumping over to Territory Construction Optimizations. After a big request here, they got a lot of good changes here. They added a grid alignment system in construction mode for better placement accuracy. Blueprints can now save wallpapers and building cosmetics. Electrical and water connections are now easily managed. Next up here, we have some Deviant Optimizations. They're introducing the Super Anomaly Challenge for Season 2 with new enemy powers and weaknesses. They increased the HP of low and mid-level Deviants in the Novice seasons, so those should perform a little bit better. Great Ones are no longer considered Deviants and only affected by effects that apply to them. Looks like they might have been taking a little bit more damage than intended, as there were some damage bonuses there that were downing those bosses quite quickly. They improved the blast radius and alertness of certain enemies. Now moving on, we finally have the combat optimizations, and balance adjustments is the first one here. They adjusted the triggering condition of cradle effects for better balance. We saw some nerfs and a little bit of a slight buff here for the power surge, shrapnel, and bounce builds. So specifically for bounce and shrapnel, you had to hit a weak spot for the bullet effect to actually get you that 25% damage increase. However, now you only need to trigger the bullet effect, and you do not need to hit a weak spot. You'll then get a 25% damage increase for 4 seconds instead of 3. They note here it mainly pertains to PvP stuff, at least as far as that goes, hitting the weak spot there. However, Power Surge did get a major nerf here, where it used to be after triggering a Power Surge, you got a 25% damage increase. You will no longer get that. Only after defeating an enemy will you get that 25% damage increase. You also get a Shock Elemental damage increase for 15 seconds, so that's 18%. So buff there to some additional damage, but the way that you're going to be able to trigger this is no longer from just getting that Power Surge effect. Those Power Surge builds are definitely going to get some reduction there. Next up here, they rebalance the damage reduction builds in PvP. They slightly reduce the effectiveness of the old Huntsman boots in PvP. They mentioned that some deviation passives are either too strong or too weak, so they made some adjustments. I'll go over those very briefly. Psychic Kick gives status damage instead of psi intensity. Health from deviations is now max stamina plus 10 instead of plus 5. Run fast movement speed grants 5% movement speed instead of 3. There's a bit of the adjustments there. They also balance melee weapons by adjusting some damage, durability, and effects. The larger nerf here is to Recurve Bow. Again, they saw that it was used excessively high, and the crit rate there was excessively high. So they did nerf that down from 30% down to 15%. That's when hitting that weak spot and getting that bullseye. They did some tweaking to the Jaws affix for better performance, although it looks like it got a buff overall. And this might not apply to PvP as much, but now it's a weak spot hit that will get you the blast elemental damage plus 30%, but that will only be for 8 seconds. They adjusted the Doombringer to balance long range and close combat effectiveness. They adjusted the deviation handling to focus on critical targets, and smoke bomb mechanics now have improved clarity. There was also a section here for battle stat bug fixes, where multiple issues related to weapon damage, cloak effects, and mod stats were changed or fixed. Some brand new additions there to the combat stuff. They're introducing the new calibration blueprint category and mod suffixes for Season 2. They adjusted the acquisition method for keyword suffix mods, and they added new tactical items and improved various in-game icons and notifications. They did some optimizations and adjustments here for deviations, and they're also going to be adding new traits for them in Season 2. There's some smaller stuff in here that I didn't totally cover. I'll include a link down below to the entire patch and update if you want to go through all of those. Although again, like I said, I'll be here all day listing all of them, but I just chose some of the major ones. If you enjoyed today's video, like and subscribe, and until the next one. Deuces.